everybody, and welcome back. Yesterday, we had a celebration. It was the 25th anniversary of the Charity Commission rejecting Scientology for charity status in the United Kingdom. And today is International Cult Awareness Day. I'm going to share this screen here. It is the 46th anniversary of the Jonestown massacre today. And so in honor of the victims, spreading awareness is the best thing that you can do to celebrate or to mark. I don't know if celebrate is the right word, but to mark International Cult Awareness Day. The website is cultawarenessday.com. I've been following this account on Instagram for some time. And it seems like they're doing great work at trying to raise awareness of different cults, not just obviously the Jonestown cult, but all cults in all forms. It's important that we talk about these things. One thing that I get quite a lot is, I would never be so stupid to join a cult, or how could you possibly fall for that? You know, Scientology is a space alien cult that believes in Xenu and all of this sort of stuff. I would never be so stupid. And I think it's really important to note that cults, the way cults work is by using coercive control, manipulation, and by lying to its members, right? No one, when they join Scientology or when they're raised in Scientology, believes in the Xenu story. A very small percentage of Scientologists actually reach OT3, which is the level where you learn about Xenu. And so you get lied to. You know, when I walked into Church of Scientology and I said, hey, I heard you believe in aliens, is that true? They outright said no. There's nothing in the scripture that says that whatsoever. So it's a hoodwink. It's a lie. And that's how they get you in. It's not the fact that people are stupid and falling for it and thinking, hey, sign me up. I hear you believe in all this sort of stuff and you abuse people and so on. It's that they manipulate you into believing that everything you have heard about this cult is false. And the only source of information is the cult itself. This is a very common tactic that is used in cults around the world and has been used for decades. Scientology is one of the groups that uses that technique. And obviously it was used in the Jonestown massacre as well. We are fortunate that we haven't had such a horrific incident in the world of Scientology. There hasn't been a mass drink the Kool-Aid event, which is a positive thing. But that doesn't mean that people aren't being harmed, people aren't being abused, and people aren't being hurt by this organization. So it's important to mark this day as International Cult Awareness Day, to spread awareness that this stuff is still going on. It may not be as horrific as Jonestown in the physical loss of life sense, but it doesn't mean it's any less horrific in other ways. So today, International Cult Awareness Day, please spread awareness if you haven't already. Share this graphic and let's get people talking about cults, because the more people that speak about it, the more likely it is action will be taken and something will be done to stop further suffering. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about Scientology's latest TV commercials. Obviously, it was the IAS event, the International Association of Scientologists, at St. Hill, Scientology's UK headquarters, just a couple of weeks ago. We were there in protest against the abuse inside the organization, and it is the largest event in the Scientology calendar in Europe. It is a huge fundraising effort. It's the largest fundraiser in the calendar for Scientology events, as far as I'm aware. That's certainly how they market it. And it's considered the greatest gathering of Scientologists on planet Earth. And so David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, trots up on stage and he talks about how wonderful the last year has been. And look at all these amazing things that we've done in the prior year to help clear the planet and help humanity. Now, this year was the 40th anniversary of the International Association of Scientologists, so it was a big event. There was a lot riding on it, and David Miscavige used the opportunity to look back at the decades that have gone past since the founding of the IES, and every year there's generally a new advert that is unveiled. I personally think that it's important to note this is the only religion that I'm aware of, or religious group, that have an international event, and the pinnacle, the big moment that everyone is excited for, and the big reveal, the big release at the end of the event is the unveiling of a new advertisement. I find that a little bit strange. I found it strange when I was in Scientology, but I also thought it was exciting because I thought, as a Scientologist, how cool is this? We're spreading the word. We're telling more people about Scientology. What a great way of doing it is with a TV ad. But it is interesting that marketing and promotion and advertising is the number one priority and the big thing that everyone looks forward to, the IES event. So this year, Dave Miscavige unveiled 3 new ads that are going to be played on American television, likely around the Super Bowl. Time of the Super Bowl, they play it at the halftime. But they also play these on YouTube. They pay millions of dollars to display adverts like this on videos that come up when you search things like Scientology. So I've actually been told, I've been sent screenshots that Scientology ads pop up on my videos very often. So in a weird, twisted sense, Scientology are paying me to make content about the abuse that they are doing in their organization, because as creators we get a very, very small percentage of the advertising fees that companies pay to play adverts before YouTube videos. That's what a monetized YouTube account is. I make literally next to nothing with this YouTube account. I think I make about £100-200 maximum in a month from ad revenue. It's not a great deal. However, a small proportion of that will come from Scientology's ad revenue, from the budget that they have spent on displaying ads, and there's nothing they can do about it. If you search on YouTube Scientology, my videos will pop up, as will other SPTV creators. And the Scientology ads will play on those, because as far as the YouTube, Google Analytics, AdSense algorithm situation works, that person is interested in finding out more about Scientology. So if Scientology are paying money to display ads to people, they're going to pay money to display them to the people who have searched for Scientology. Little do they know that those ads are being played on content that they maybe don't approve of, such as mine. So that's how these ads are going to be used. There are 3 of them. But I think what's most interesting is this advert, which we're going to look at together to begin with, because it makes a subtle reference to the protest movement that is currently ongoing. It talks about the protesters in LA in a very subtle way. And I just wanted to take note on how Scientology here are trying to spin the narrative and change the perception of why these people are standing outside these orgs with their phones live streaming. So let's take a little look. This is the video in question. It is currently available on the Scientology website if you know where to look. But let's play. Tell me if you have any problems hearing the audio from this. I think I've set it up so it should work.
We know the questions. We know the stereotypes. We've heard it all, but we also know who we are.
So I'm just going to pause it there. Firstly, tell me if you could hear the audio in that. There was a voiceover. We'll continue playing it. Andy Two Arms is saying audio good to me. Fantastic. And Hans Christian Swartz. Hi, man. Oh, let's say hello to some people in the chat as well. Lee Peter. Hi, Janet. Hans Christian Schwartz is here. Hello. Hello, Palm Paintbox Tunes. Hello, SB Crusader. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. It's good to see you. Andy Two Arms is here. Good to see you as well, buddy. So in that little clip, I don't know if you noticed it. However, there was a subtle reference. This frame here. Obviously, this is not actual protesters. This is all recorded, usually using actors, by Scientology Media Productions. It is a high production value, highly produced advert. It's not footage of actual live streamers. But what they have done is placed a couple of people outside the buildings known as Big Blue, the PAC base in Los Angeles, holding up their phones, recording. Obviously, this lady on the right-hand side isn't actually recording. She hasn't pressed the record button yet. But they do all have their cameras open, taking pictures and recording. So this is a subtle nod to the fact that around the world, there are live streamers, people with their phones out, live streaming and recording videos outside Scientology buildings. Now, it's important to note, these people are there because they are protesting, whether they are protesting to stop people from joining, or whether they're protesting the abuse inside the organization, whether they're trying to get a message to people inside to say, hey, it's okay if you want to leave. The messaging is varied, but regardless, they are there in protest. They're not there filming and taking pictures because they find it interesting and they want to know more about Scientology. And instead of walking through the door, they're just there taking pictures. It's not a tourist attraction. They are protesting. However, Scientology know that they can't hide this. They can't stop people from gathering outside their buildings with camera phones, recording and taking pictures. So Scientologists around the world have seen this going on outside their org. It's not just happening at St. Hill once a year. It's happening in LA. It's happening around different orgs in the US and in the UK as well. So this is something that cannot be denied, and Scientology know that. So Miscavige is going to be looking at, how do we twist this narrative? How do we explain to Scientologists why there are people taking pictures and live streaming outside the org every day? Because this is something new. It's not something that's happened before. There have been protests before. The anonymous movement was huge, bigger than today's protest movement. There were hundreds of people protesting outside London org and all the other orgs in the world every single day for a period of time around the world. It was a huge protest movement that gained international press attention and resulted in some changes in Scientology. Today's protest movement is a lot smaller. It's digital, which wasn't the case back in the anonymous days. There wasn't such a thing as live streaming back then. So the audience is probably larger as a whole because thousands of people can engage in this activism by watching and commenting online and not having to be there in person. But in terms of the physical presence, people standing outside the orgs, it's smaller than it was during the anonymous movement, but that doesn't mean it's less effective. Live streaming is something that Scientology cannot escape from, and it's something that is happening every single day, particularly over in Los Angeles. The anonymous movement happened every single day for a period of time, but then it stopped and it faded away and it went away. But for the last 6 months to a year, I think it's about a year now, there have been people standing outside the LA Scientology buildings every single day live streaming. Now, that's already more prolific than the anonymous movement. So Miscavige is probably a little bit concerned about this, because how does he explain it to Scientologists? Now, this is where the Scientology spin comes in. He is twisting the narrative to say they're not protesting, they're filming because they're curious, they're interested in Scientology, they want to know more. And this ad even references the stereotypes. That is a reference to the black PR, which is what Scientology call negative press. When people have ideas, explanations, rumors, things like Xenu story, all this sort of stuff, Scientology designate this black PR. It's bad information. It's not factual. And so these stereotypes are referenced in this ad. Now, that is something that hasn't happened before. The ads historically have always been about Scientology technology, how it can change you as a person, make you feel better, have better relations with your family, and this, that, and the other. That's what the ads try and send as a message. This message is taking the protest movement head on and trying to say it's not protesting, it's people interested in Scientology, because the lie Miscavige needs to tell is that Scientology is expanding and it's the fastest growing religion on planet Earth, which we all know is not the case. So I think it's really interesting that this happened in this advert, but let's just carry on. It doesn't actually mention the protesters by name, but it does feature actors pretending to be protesters.
Who we are. Mothers, fathers, doctors, artists, athletes, chimney sweeps, rebels and free thinkers, citizens of more than 180 nations, united by a common purpose, to make life better for all people, all faiths, all cultures, and if someone doesn't.
So here they're trying to make it sound like Scientology, we're innocent. We're just trying to help people. We're all sorts of people are Scientologists, and we're innocent. Stop attacking us. And this next bit is particularly interesting because this again is handling the black PR in a Scientology way. It actually has a screenshot or a small clip of press that is covering Scientology.
And if someone doesn't like it, tough.
And that there is the Scientology mindset that they are trying to portray. If someone doesn't like it, tough. We're going to carry on anyway. And as a Scientologist, that I think would probably hit me in a different way to the ads that I've seen in the past. As a Scientologist, I can imagine watching this and actually walking away feeling inspired, thinking these people are live streaming because they're interested in Scientology. People are saying stuff in the press about Scientology that hasn't been said before. And if they don't like it, tough. It's not going to change who I am, what I do, or why I'm doing it. And I think it's really important to note that the activism that I'm doing is not about their religious beliefs. It's not about their practices. It's about the behavior. It's about the abuse inside the organization. I'm not outside these orgs saying, I don't like, this and that you believe in Dianetics. I don't follow Scientology anymore, and I don't believe the tech works. But that's a different argument. The protests, particularly in the UK, have been about the abuse, about the disconnection, about the ripping of families apart, the forced abortions, and this sort of behavior that is separate from the belief system. Now, the question of whether the belief system requires abuse and whether the belief system is abusive in and of itself is a bigger, much wider argument and discussion to be had. But the protests are saying, stop acting the way you are. Stop doing the things you are doing. That's not okay. You can believe in Xenu. I don't care. But you can't treat people the way you're treating people. But this ad here is saying, if people don't like it, tough. Who cares? We're going to carry on anyway. And that, I can imagine, is quite inspiring for Scientologists. But it is such a bold-faced lie. It is such a twist of the narrative. These people are trying to help Scientologists, right? The protest movement around the world is aimed at stopping people from joining because they don't want them to get harmed or hurt, and providing support and resources to the people that want to leave, that are trapped inside. It's generally a positive movement saying, hey, we're here to help. It's not here saying F your religious beliefs. I mean, some people may do. I don't know. I don't want to put words into different people's mouths. But as a whole, it's a positive activism movement. It's not causing disruption just for the sake of causing disruption. But anyway, let's carry on.
It's not just what you believe. It's what you stand for. We stand for compassion, for tolerance, for truth.
See, and this is what really grinds my gears. We stand for compassion, for tolerance, and for truth. That may be what it says in the Scientology scripture. It may be what it says in The Way to Happiness. But Scientology scripture also says that if you disagree with Scientology, you should be declared a suppressive person and fair gamed. These people may be tricked, lied to, sued, or otherwise destroyed. That is how Scientology treat former members, critics, people that speak out against the organization. That doesn't sound very, very tolerant to me. Someone who's been abused inside the organization that comes out and says, hey, I want to leave, but you can carry on doing your own thing. Believe in Scientology, don't care. I just want to continue speaking to my family who are still in. No, sorry, because you've spoken out, you've left in a dishonorable way. You are now persona non grata, and your family are going to disconnect from you, and you may never speak to them ever again until you rejoin and you make amends for what you've done. That is not tolerance. So this advert is a bold-faced lie, and it just goes to show how Scientology say one thing publicly in their flashy PR videos and materials, but they do something completely, entirely different.
For humanity. And we stand for you. No matter what you may face, we're with you, and our help is yours.
Again, another lie. Whatever you may face, we are with you. Well, actually, if you look at Scientology scripture, keeping Scientology working, which is the number one most important policy in Scientology, it actually says you're with us or against us, die in the attempt, right? It actually says that if you are against us, you are nobody to us. So when they say we're with you, they need to add the caveat, we're with you as long as you don't disagree with us, which is why I find this particular ad particularly outrageous. But as I mentioned, that is one of 3 ads. Let's have a look at another one here. That one was called Our Movement. This one here is called Our Church. So let's carry on.
There was a place that was different, where unsolvable problems could be solved, where science and religion combined.
Now, I'm just going to pause there very briefly because I was on staff when the original spiritual technology ad came out. This was a part of the Golden Age of Tech Phase 2 and the release of the Superpower building. And I remember the ad that they played at Super Bowl that year. It was played, I think it was at the IES event. It was the KSW big tent that was in Clearwater. I'm pretty sure it was an IES event. It was the unveiling of the Superpower building anyway, and this Golden Age Tech Phase 2 stuff. They played this ad at the end of that event, and it was the first time an e-meter had been shown on camera in a publicly facing Scientology advert. And it was the new e-meter, the one that they're currently using today. They changed the design of it, and it's meant to look all futuristic and cool and all this sort of stuff. There was an audible gasp in the chapel at London Org when this video played. And it said, this is where spirituality and religion combine. And it showed the e-meter in a very similar way to the one we just saw there with the needle floating. And people in the room were like, wow, this is amazing. We are being so open and honest about what Scientology is. People don't know what the e-meter is. We've never really spoken about it in an advert like this. And we are actually showing them what an e-meter is. We're showing them what Scientology actually is. This is going to blow everyone's mind because they think Scientology is something that it's not. Everyone is mistaken in what they believe Scientology is. And this is us being really honest and just saying, we've got nothing to hide. Come in and find out for yourself. That is how we were thinking as Scientologists at the time. I remember having many conversations about it with people in the chapel at London Org during the event or after the event. And that was the sentiment. And this sentiment is being carried forward through this advert where spirituality and religion combine. And it just goes to show the cognitive dissonance and how isolated Scientologists are from the wider world and the bigger community out there, because that is not how people view these ads in the real world. People don't look at this and go, wow, you're being so open and honest about your beliefs, because they haven't approached things like disconnection, fair game, and abuse, and sec checks, and the barbed wire fences that encompass its international base in California, or the motion sensors that encompass St. Hill, its UK headquarters. All of the criticisms and concerns that people have are not addressed in these ads. Understandably so, but Scientologists believe that this is going to be a game changer when it's absolutely not.
A new kind of place with the technology to unleash your full potential and unlock the secrets of life itself. It sounds impossible, but you don't have to believe it. You can experience it.
I mean, I know this is meant to look cool, right? But it actually looks like these buildings are on fire, and not in a good way.
And discover.
Now, I actually took a long time looking at this particular moment in the ad because I wondered whether they've just randomly put these like flame light things somewhere in a drone shot of a city to make it look like the org is over there and this is a beacon of light and all of this, whatever message they're trying to convey. And I was like, I wonder if that's where the orgs actually are or whether they've just put it randomly somewhere. And I looked at this one because obviously this is London, and I zoomed right in and I know exactly where this is, and I obviously know where the org is. And that flame of light that we see there is actually where London org is located, which means some poor soul has had to spend likely dozens of hours researching where all the orgs are in the world on a map and then geolocating that to where the drone shot was taken and then trying to make sure that the graphic image is the element is implemented at the right place at the right time so that it is accurate as to where the org actually is. And this is probably all being done by Sea Org staff over in LA who have never even been to London and the other orgs that are shown. So it just goes to show they do put a lot of effort and attention to detail into these adverts. They are highly produced things. And the fact that they've gone to that level of detail just goes to show how strongly they feel these adverts are important in their how strongly they feel about the importance of these adverts in their marketing campaigns. It's just a shame. It's just full of lies. But yeah, if you zoom in, that is actually where London Org is located in relation to this drone shot.
The true power.
That's Paris Org.
Of you.
There we go, promoting Scientology.org, their website with a QR code at the end. I wouldn't advise scanning that QR code because you don't know what data is being collected by this organization when you scan it. So that's the second one. And the third one, I'm not going to play the third one because it's a bit long. It's called Our Voice. It's basically these people talking about how, I've always been one. People have always asked me, what's it like being one? And like, yeah, I'm not afraid to be one. And the whole idea is people, they want people to think what you're what. And at the end, it's like, I'm a Scientologist and I'm just like a normal person. That's essentially the gist of the third and final advert, which I'm not going to play here. You can go and see it if you particularly want to, but it's not as strong as the other ones in terms of the messaging, in my opinion, as a marketing expert. But it's just, for me, saddening to think that these adverts are really clear examples of how Scientology is spinning the narrative and lying to its own members. Let's not forget, these ads are made for Scientologists. These ads are not made to recruit people. They probably won't be played on television in most countries. They might buy some small ad space around Super Bowl in specific areas where there are Scientologists. But this is marketing for the people who are currently in Scientology. But it's done in a way that makes them think it's marketing externally to get people in. And it just goes to show the cognitive dissonance, because anyone that walks past a Scientology building and sees people holding a camera phone there, live streaming and video recording, they're going to ask, hey, what are you doing? And most of them will say, we're here protesting the Church of Scientology. So the message that they're just interested and they're recording because it's an interesting thing and it's the fastest growing religion on planet Earth, that doesn't work, because anybody who has seen this level of interest, seen these people protesting, will know that this is not the message they're trying to convey. So this advert is aimed only at people who haven't walked past an org and spoken to these people. Scientologists walk past these orgs and they don't speak to the protesters because they're not allowed to. They're considered suppressive people. So it's just a bold-faced lie to its own members about what these people are doing. And they're trying to spin it into a positive thing. Hey, if you feel harassed by these people filming, don't feel harassed. They're filming because they're interested. We should maybe try and get them in, right? It's not that they're interested. They're interested in stopping the abuse. So that's my little ramble over about the ads. Let's go back and have a little look at some of the comments I've been starring as we've been going on. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Irina Posner says, remember the 18th of November. Yes, exactly. International Cult Awareness Day for sure. Paintbox Tunes says it's the old bait and switch maneuver. Absolutely. Catherine Olsen is here. Hi, Catherine. Thank you for joining. Hans Christian Schwartz says they forgot empathy. Probably never looked it up. Yes, there is definitely no empathy in Scientology. They say that there is compassion, but where is the compassion in the harassment and the abuse that Scientology throws at its members and its former members? There is no compassion in the statements that Scientology have sent Mid Sussex District Council or the press when dealing with things that involve me. There's no compassion there, calling me a lying bigot, a piece of shit, and all this sort of stuff. You know, I was kicked out for good reason. These statements to the press are defamatory. There is no compassion there. The only compassion is actually in the statements that I've been giving press, saying, hey, we're here to try and send a kind and compassionate message that we're here to support them if they choose to leave. There is no compassion, but they certainly still try and make it sound like there is compassion in their marketing materials. Catherine Olsen says, you're completely right. They also think the more they get attacked, the more Scientology is expanding. Yeah, that's the thing. There's a principle in Scientology that the more you get attacked, the more that's an indicator that it's working. So they're twisting this whole narrative of all of these people protesting and all this international media attention as a sign Scientology is doing something right. Scientology is expanding. We're really, really working hard to clear the planet, and it must be working because all these people are trying to attack us. That's the mentality in Scientology, and it's shameful. Joanna Bananas says, I keep hearing the Lion King intro song. Yeah, me too. I thought that when I heard it first. That's actually quite a good point. Maxine B says, hi, Alex. Hi, chat. Hello, Maxine B. Thank you for joining. So, guys, thank you for joining. This is only a short one, half an hour. I'm going to carry on live streaming as much as I can this week and next. There is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and I'll keep you updated as and when I can. Scientology Business, the blog that I run, is currently down, waiting for payday later this week when I can restore the hosting package. If you guys want to support the channel and help get the website back up and running, please consider buying me a coffee using the link down below. But otherwise, please share this video. Comment once the live stream is finished underneath the video, subscribe, make sure you've hit the bell notification so that you get dinged every time I go live, because the number one most important thing is getting this message out there to people. If a Scientologist sees this review of the Scientology ads as well as the ad itself, they might see another perspective and they might think twice about whether they should believe everything they're being told, and maybe it will open their eyes to realize that their church is lying to them. Anyway, more to come. Thank you so much for joining, guys. And as always, I'm not fucking about.